Are you getting my good side?
That is your good side. What's up, guys? I'm here with Scott. Scott and I made a video about 4 or 5 months ago. He was applying for officer training school. He's currently enlisted, and the great news is he found out, what, 2 months ago or so?
About a month ago, yeah.
He got picked up. What I didn't say last time was something about Scott when we made the video was he, at that time, was a master sergeant. He has since been promoted to senior master sergeant. I've heard of this happening in the past. I've never actually worked with or even known someone. So now Scott will be going off to officer training school. Former senior master sergeant, 15 years in?
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, that is crazy. And now he has another chapter of his career beginning, and he'll serve as long as the Air Force lets him or he gets tired of serving. But that's, I'm very honored to be here with him because I want to share something great like that. A lot of people ask me questions about the latest and greatest on officer training school. Why not ask someone that was recently selected for it and will be going through it? So how competitive was it?
So it was pretty competitive, not so much as last year's or years prior. There were some years that had like 77% or 75% selection rate. This time the numbers we had was about 1,600 applicants, and they selected 666. And I think it was in the 90s for rated applicants. So anyone looking to fly or be in an aircraft or RPA pilot, they had a pretty high selection rate for that. As far as the non-rated stuff, which is your OSI, your security forces officers, your FSS officers, all the stuff that doesn't have to do with the airplanes and it's not a specialized degree, it was pretty, I mean, it was a pretty good, healthy selection rate, I think around 30-35%.
That's good, real good. And again, congratulations, because I know it's very competitive. What was your number one choice job that you wanted?
So I wanted to be an FSS officer. I'm medical by trade and I actually got special duty assigned over to the FSS and just fell in love with the ADHD nature that goes on in our squadron, the helping people, the being able to go out and have fun and take care of business all in the course of like a normal duty day. Just something that really appealed to me.
So you're coming home, basically.
Yes, and if I wouldn't have gotten this position in my special duty that I'm in now, I wouldn't have realized how much fun the FSS could offer. And that's something that I think a lot of people miss out on in their enlisted or just their Air Force careers. They never get a chance to step outside the box and see what the rest of the Air Force does.
Good, good. In fact, I was walking in our large classroom today, and if I'm not mistaken, he was already mentoring an individual about applying for officer training school. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, that wasn't my conversation, but as I was walking, I kind of figured out that's what it was. What advice would you have for anybody that's either non-service, non-prior service, or somebody that may be enlisted right now that is thinking about applying?
It's a very deliberate process. It's not something that's willy-nilly. You just wake up one morning. The first step that I would say is, especially if you're married, ask your family if it's an adventure that they're willing to sign up for. Right now, you know, I've been in 15 years and I've had my career path laid out for me. I knew where I was going, and then pretty much just threw it all into the wind and have no idea when I'm getting a class date, no idea where I'm going, no idea what job specifically I'm going to be doing within the FSS. There's a lot of uncertainty. So asking your family if that's a commitment that you're all willing to take, that would be my first step. The second one would just be get on the website. There's Facebook groups. I think it's USAF 19T01 or TO01, but that's the most recent board that closed out, and so there's a Facebook group of about 1,000 people that have shared experiences, they've shared their packages, they've shared questions that they've asked and gotten answers to. It's just a really good resource. So get on that, figure out your roadmap, start plugging away at all the stuff, because there's letters of recommendation that are needed, there's transcripts that are needed. There's, if you came in with medical or moral waivers, those all have to be redone, and it's just a very strenuous process. The sooner you start, the better. It took me 6 months to get my package squared away, and even up until the day that I pushed submit on it, I was still refining it and fine-tuning it to make sure that it was perfect.
How much, if any, did the Education Center on base assist?
The Education Center was a really good initial interview to see if like I met the minimum requirements. Other than that, it's very member-centric. So the education office doesn't really deal with the nitty-gritty of things if there's a question that they can't answer, but they're not going to just outwardly help you complete the task. Because the task itself of applying for OTS is what discourages a lot of people from applying for OTS to begin with. And that's by design. If you don't have the due diligence to put together a package over 6 months or 3 months or 4 months, then you probably don't have the gusto to be an officer, and that's the rumor the rumor of why it's so difficult. But as far as the education office, they were a great resource on setting you up with resources, but as far as holding your hand or guiding you through the process, not so much.
Okay. So I have 2 more questions for you, Scott. What's next for you personally?
So being a senior NCO, they're starting up an accelerated commissioning program, which will be a 2-week course in lieu of going to the 8 or 9 week OTS course. And the thought process behind that is we've gone to the Senior NCO Academy, we've done our corresponded senior enlisted joint PME and all sorts of other stuff. It's not a return on investment to reteach me how to wear my ribbons or march into formation and all that kind of stuff. It's more so just to get the people who already have that base knowledge, equip them with the tools to be an officer, and send them on their way, and allow more of those people who haven't had that education to go through the actual OTS. So that's hopefully in my future. That's still up in the air as far as like the details of things. If I don't get accepted to the ACP, the Accelerated Commissioning Program, I'll go to OTS. I don't have a class date yet. That's just how the system works. And it could be anywhere between this year and this time next year. So,
Okay.
yeah, it's kind of confusing.
And then the last question is, what are you most excited about?
I'm most excited to figure out more of what the Air Force has to offer. I was good at X-ray and I loved X-ray. I was good at ultrasound and loved ultrasound. I was good at teaching. I'm good at the job I do now. I'm just excited to find a new job and find something new to be good at. Like the adventure of things is really exciting.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any parting words? Anything? This is your time.
Oh, that's crazy. I can't stress enough. If your family's not on board with the adventure, it's not going to be worth it. No one, even if you stay enlisted or if you decide to go and transfer over, no one ever looks back at their home that they're sitting in alone and like, yeah, I did it right. Make sure your family's on board. Make sure you put your family first. But also make sure that you're having fun. If you're stuck somewhere that you don't like, there's definitely options for you out there. And OTS was pretty much my only option to keep on this FSS adventure that I'd signed myself up for. The other thing too is don't get discouraged. There was setbacks and there was things that just made me want to pull my hair out, as if I had any. We got great hair today. It was a good hair day.
I went back to my normal short because I had it long for the last 10 months.
Yeah.
And it looked kind of like a mop. So I'm not as cool as Scott.
But don't get discouraged. There's speed bumps and roadblocks. You just got to figure out how to go over them or around them, and that's part of the challenge. So that's the only advice that I really have.
Congratulations again. Do great things. Happy for you. I'll be tracking. And one thing that Scott doesn't know is, 23 years ago, today, 17 April 1996, I was at basic training for day 1. 23 years ago, time flies, make the
That's
most of it.
crazy.
Thanks again, Scott.
Yep, no problem.
Take care.